here, your direct sales expert and the host of Vicki Fitch Live, A Fresh Perspective. I know you guys have been watching and waiting. This has been AR/VR month, and this is our roundup day. This is going to be amazing. You guys, I know you've seen the posts that have been going out that today we have Mr. Robert Scoble in the house. Now, Robert has a list of achievements. It's like 10,000 miles long, and I would never finish the podcast if I gave them all to you. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. I mean, first of all, he's a futurist. Second of all, he has, he has more. He's making some funny faces in the green room. So he is, I think I might let him introduce some of himself, but 10 years, let's just bring him on because he's, first of all, put it back on. Let's show them that.
Yeah, you have to see what I was trying to put.
You got to catch the Robert Scobleism. There it is. Somebody screenshot that. Robert, there you go. Let him screenshot it. Somebody screenshot that for me and send that out because that is him. That's full life personality, live star. So Robert, first of all, can I just say thank you so much for being here with us? We so appreciate it.
Thanks. It's an honor to be here.
Well, you completely blew me away when I watched you at Summit Live. You gave us not only a little bit of information, a fire hose of information about where technology is, where it's been going, where it can go, what's happening. And, you call yourself a futurist, which tells us that, you have so much vision and clarity. And I'm going to kind of blend in information about your bio rather than just tra-la-lang it all right here. But you are a futurist. So why don't you tell us, what does a futurist really mean?
An official one is somebody who does research and tries to figure out how the future is going to change. I do it a little differently. I interview thousands of entrepreneurs, and I get to go to R&D labs and different companies around the world. Like in 2011, I visited this company in Germany called Metaio, and Apple bought them. And back then, they showed me monsters on the sides of skyscrapers. And that was in 2011, and we still haven't seen that ship in a consumer product yet. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But, by talking to innovators like that, I start seeing patterns about where they're going to push the future. And then I get to write books. I've written 3 books. The first one was on social software called Naked Conversations about a decade ago. Mm-hmm. When I worked at Microsoft. And the second one was Age of Context, which is about how wearable computers on your wrists or on your body, on your face are changing the world, and also about how contextual systems are changing. And we're seeing tons of the startups now using that technology. And this third one is called The Fourth Transformation. Here, I'll do a little pitch right there.
Please do. No, hold it up because we're going to talk about it anyway. And we want to know what's in there. There's a really great write-up on there. So go ahead and that's by you and Shell Israel.
Yeah, Shell and I wrote all 3 of these books together. This one's about how augmented reality and artificial intelligence are going to change everything. And Apple is about to blow us away. They've spent $15 billion at minimum buying companies. And they have 1,000 engineers working in Israel on the AI right now. So,
well, and that, it's
see that soon.
Right. And there's so many things. First of all, we got to say hi. Miss Mia Voss in the house. My MBA. She in the house. Woo, woo, Mia. I also see Stacy here, Adam Nally, Tim McVeigh, Ashley is here, Dave Gonzalez. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And please, I apologize. Those of you that are downloaded this on iTunes, Stitcher, or you're on Blog Talk Radio, thank you so much for being here. I encourage you to go watch episode 33 of Vicki Fitch Live, A Fresh Perspective. You can watch it at VickiFitch.com. You'll be able to see it at YouTube. We'll have it in multiple locations to make sure you can check it out because again, you can't get the full impact of Robert Scoble without watching him, move and smile and laugh and put on his headgear and
we have a lot of headgear too. So.
I love it. And we're going to be taking screenshots at all of those. So we make sure, and forgive me, you guys, because we forgot to shift the boxes around. I keep looking down at Robert because he's down in the box. So I'm not looking down. I'm looking at Robert.
Yeah. It's really hard to talk to
Usually
camera.
we're both at the top. So I'm really sorry about that. I forgot to have them shift, and we're usually right here so we can kind of look at each other and look really cool. Like
stare into the camera.
I know. And now we're looking off into oblivion.
Media training 101, stare into the camera.
I know, isn't it great? Well, again, which brings us to talk about live streaming. I mean, you have some predictions that came up years ago about live streaming and where things are going to be. Why don't you share a little bit about that, of where, your predictions from 10 years ago and what happened?
Well, I don't remember what I predicted back 10 years ago, but I was one of the first cell phone streamers. So, we now have Periscope and Facebook Live and other things to stream off of our iPhones. But back then we didn't have iPhones even. I did a live stream of Elon Musk in his first Tesla. It was just a week old when we first saw it, and he gave me a ride before he gave his best friend a ride in it. So I got the first ride, and I was live streaming on a Nokia N95 phone.
During that drive?
Yeah, we had about 1,500 people watching live, and that was 11 years ago, right? 10 years ago, something like that, and yeah, that was fun. But that was on a service called Kick, if I remember right, QIK.
It's
on now, so that shows you just how much change has happened in this industry.
Is Kick gone? My kid was on Kick.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's gone?
Not Kick, not KIK. It was QIK.
Oh, okay.
And the live video it was sort of like Periscope or Facebook Live of the day, only not nearly as good a quality.
Well, there is some good quality. I see Steven Sent is in the house, and Miss Stacy DePolo. Stacy, welcome. Stacy and I spent a lot of time at Social Media Marketing World just recently, and Stacy with GoDaddy, amazing lady, amazing company. You guys totally need to connect with her. And then Robert, you were at South by Southwest, right? That's why we didn't see you at Social Media Marketing World, because we were like, where's the Scobleizer?
I've been to so many shows this year. I see Sundance, Live, Summit Live, Mobile World Congress, and then South by Southwest. I haven't been home all that much this year.
Is that all? I mean, it is only March, right?
Yeah, in fact, this is one of my first shows done at home. I had to clean up a little bit.
Well, we're so eternally grateful that you're doing this show, because there's so many questions that people have. As a matter of fact, those of you guys who are here live, thank you for being here. And if you haven't already, I want you to hit that share button, because let's face it, it's not often that we get to actually ask questions of Robert Scoble and find out what his futuristic opinions are, what things are happening. And you guys had some great questions in the scope right before we came here, talking about integration of AI and stuff like that. So, you're back up. Go ahead. And what do you want to show?
Well, we should define some terms so that when we have questions, people know what we're talking about.
That was my next thing. I was going to have you be our verbal dictionary.
Because there's a difference between AR, which is this HoloLens, and VR. VR is when you're in a totally black environment and all you're seeing around you is virtual things, right? Virtual world, virtual reality. With AR, or what I call mixed reality, you're seeing through the optic to the real world, and it puts holograms or virtual things on top of the world, right? Or soon it'll actually replace real things with virtual things. And that's a really cool thing to do, but it's coming. And that's when we start talking about mixed reality, that's really what I'm talking about, that it's not the AR you've seen on phones for the last 10 years or anything like that. This is really something interestingly new.
Well, most of us, and I'm going to speak for the audience, and I could be totally wrong, but since I do interview a lot and talk to a lot of people, our first introduction of what we conceptually knew was augmented reality, and some people still don't realize, was Pokemon Go. I mean, if Pokemon Go didn't do anything else, it started to show us how when you flip that little switch, that the Pokemon could be sitting on your shoulder or in your shop, or, those kind of things. And so when I watched a video on your website, or I think it was on Scobleizer, and it was a little bit older, but it was fantastic, showing the computer that's popping up and the lens. I mean, I just sat there mesmerized, going, and that video was even older.
That's going to be pretty lame soon. And it really is pretty lame if you have a HoloLens, but there's only a few thousand people who have a HoloLens because these are $3,000 and they're really pretty heavy and really dorky looking. You're not going to wear this to the shopping mall. And if you want,
unless you're Kathy Hackle, she told me she wears it in restaurants sometimes, and people come up to her.
I do that. I was demonstrating it on the street at South by, and I had a crowd, because everybody wants to try it. But that's not normal behavior.
But you think
I wore my Google Glass for a year or two, so I get that impulse to try to be a little weird here and there, but.
I love that.
What's coming in the next 18 months, and probably sooner than 18 months, are glasses that are about 3 ounces. So they're much lighter and smaller than this. In fact, I probably have a picture on my phone.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Show us. And while you're pulling that, Dave, I don't exactly remember the question. I know it was about underwater 360, but if you would actually put it back in here so I can read it out loud to Robert, that would be awesome. Steven says 360 periscope is what kind? AR or closer to VR? I don't think it's exactly. Well, I'll let Robert answer that.
It's confusing. But here's I saw these at CES, and don't look at the glass too much because it's just a prototype. This is a lens company out of Israel called Lumos, and in that lens there's a 720p monitor, which when you look through it, it puts stuff on top of the world. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Now you talked about 360. In fact, I have a 360 camera here, and so if I plug this on, this is a gyroptics camera, and plug it on your iPhone, and now you can live stream onto Periscope or Facebook Live. Facebook Live just turned on today, by the way. So I did my first 360 Periscope Facebook Live this afternoon. So this is a 360 camera. When you see it in a headset, it's surround video basically, and you can look around, but it's not true VR. It's not volumetric, what I call volumetric or light field. And we're going to introduce a lot of new terms into this industry. You can't, if I took this to the front row at Coachella or something like that, right? And you're watching in a headset like a Samsung Gear VR, or you had a headset lying around there, somebody did. Yeah. If you're watching there, that's cool, but you can only turn your head like this. You can't move in, and you can't go around things.
Gotcha.
That's called 6 degrees of freedom, and these only have 3 degrees of freedom. And same thing with your headset there. So when you get a really high-end VR headset like this HTC Vive, you have to put a couple boxes up on the walls, which spray light onto this thing that you can't see, but then it knows exactly where your headset is, and you can move around a play space. So this means I can play basketball with you. I can do
I'll take you down on the basketball court, Scoble.
Well, let's go. But here's the problem. I have an HTC Vive. Do you have an HTC Vive? Because you don't, right? And this is the problem, that only really rich people or really nerdy people have these high-end VR headsets, right? Gamers have, who really spend, because the HTC Vive is around $600 for the headset and the controller and the boxes. And then you need a PC with a really good NVIDIA card. So that's $1,500, $2,000, somewhere in that range.
Just for the card?
Just for the computer, the whole computer. And you need a Windows computer, right?
Gotcha.
That runs, that has an NVIDIA card. The NVIDIA card, the high-end cards are $600 alone.
Okay.
So put it in a PC, you get to $1,500, $2,000, maybe more if you're really nerdy and you want, the latest hard drives and latest memory and all that stuff. So.
Right. Well, and that is the thing too, is to find, or I bet we could find a company that wanted to see me take you down in the 360-degree world that would send me a headset.
That'd be fun. We could play super hot.
Oh, I love it.
Or we could climb. Today an archery game came out, so we could do archery. We could do ski jumping soon.
So you can be in multiple different locations, log into the same place, and still actually see each other in the game. And now, is that part of the gaming portion, or that's part of something else?
That's part of HTC's HTC Vive or Oculus Rift or Sony PlayStation VR. But here we go. If you had a Sony PlayStation VR, it's not guaranteed that you can play against me because the games that I have might not be on this Sony PlayStation. So now we have a incompatibility problem that we have to worry about.
Gotcha.
But really, it's just about getting these high-end headsets. They're too expensive, they're too dorky and too nerdy, and that's why I keep waiting for somebody in the cell phone industry to put VR, 6 degrees of freedom VR into a cell phone. Okay. And even Samsung just announced a new phone today, and it only has 3 degrees of freedom, so we can't play basketball against you. If you have a Samsung phone. Now, I know the Apple phone coming out this year will have 6 degrees of freedom and will let us play against each other. So do you guys have iPhones or are you Android people?
I'm an Android. I'm Stacy. I know. I'm team Android. I tried those phones. I tried those iPhones and I hate them. I just don't like them. Although they do seem to pick things up faster than us.
So you're going to have to wait another year for Google to come out. And I know Google's working on it too. I know the guy who runs the mixed reality team there. iPhone is definitely going to be better this year. Android people are going to be jealous. Even if they hate Apple.
So you're saying I need to have 2 phones.
Well, what's coming this fall, you're probably going to want an iPhone if you want to play these new mixed reality and virtual reality things. Apple is going to push way ahead.
Gotcha.
But everybody else will catch up eventually. So Android will probably have more market share in 5 years than just like it has today.
Right. Just kind of floats around. So we have a lot of people in here. And you guys, thanks so much. When you guys are live, I want you to share the button out. I want you guys to make sure that we let people know that Robert's here to answer questions. And we're going to get some of your questions right now. Let's see. We went to that and I did see your 360 live Facebook earlier. So you did a great job. Let's see. Dave Gonzalez wants to know, my question is about the feasibility of combining a 360-degree camera onto a mobile remote operating vehicle at 13,000 feet underwater, combined with the AR capability of overlaying a virtual point of view. Is it possible?
That's way over my pay grade.
I couldn't even say the question, so...
I know a couple of people who I would ask. Eric Chang at Facebook would be one of them. He started out doing videography with drones, and he actually he was the guy who worked for DJI and did their first couple product launches. And he might know, or Jim. Anyways, there's a group on Facebook for 360 videographers, and I would ask that kind of question there because I have no idea. I've seen 360 cameras being used in 30, 40 feet of water, but down 13,000 feet, that's a whole nother level of pressure on things.
Right.
And you have to have a special, you probably are going to have to build a special rig because I don't know any of the consumer stuff or even high-end stuff that's just designed for that.
Yeah, so that's a Dave Gonzalez depth kind of question. Beth Granger is in the house. Steven wants to know if we can play tennis in VR, and Stacy wants to know if we can play pickleball because Stacy's a pickleball enthusiast.
You can play tennis. There's actually a game called Selfie Tennis in the HTC Vive, but again, you need 6 degrees of freedom to be able to move around and hit the ball. The Gear VR or the Google Cardboard, the lower end stuff like the one you have just can't do it. So we need to either wait until Apple brings the 6 degrees of freedom to cell phones, and others are coming later this year, or you have to get into the HTC Vive, which is probably what I would recommend. There's actually a game called Selfie Tennis. You can play tennis with yourself, which is pretty cool. It's good exercise too.
Are you actually seeing yourself though when it's selfie tennis? Or
no, if you hit it over the net, it flips the court around or it flips the ball around so that now you have to hit it back to yourself. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. The woman who developed it, she runs a company called VR Unicorns over in Copenhagen. Told me she did that because she knew nobody had VR yet. So we don't have friends to play tennis against. That'll change next year. But for right now, it's really hard to get get enough people online to really be able to play against other people or with other people.
Okay. Well, and that's a good point. Like you said, it's going to be kind of a lonely atmosphere until it becomes really mainstream and people can afford it. Just like you remember the old, cell phones, like the Gordon Gecko, the suitcase that we're carrying around, that people didn't have phones that they could carry around. Now, I mean, you got 6-year-olds that are running around with an iPhone 6, that it's become so mainstream that everybody has a phone. And that's
why I'm so bullish. If anybody's been reading me, they know I'm really bullish on Apple, because Apple last quarter sold 78 million iPhone 7 and 7 Pluses. And that's with a crappy product, right?
Yeah,
like you're an Android person.
Yeah.
This iPhone 7 Plus really doesn't have very many new features over last year's iPhone 6 Plus. So there's not a whole lot of reasons for people to go, oh, I need a new phone.
And yet they bought them anyway, right?
They did. And the next one is going to have an OLED screen, an edge-to-edge screen with no holes on the front, no buttons on the front. So it's going to be a really beautiful screen. Sort of like what you're seeing on some of the high-end Android phones. From LG and the Samsung that came out today. And and it'll have a 3D sensor and it'll do mixed reality. But how many are they going to sell of that one? Maybe 150 million. And so within a quarter, there's going to be 150 million people to play against. And that problem goes away at some level. Although I can't play against you because you have Android. So
I'll figure it out. Hey, I'll take you. I'll figure it out. My kid has an iPhone. I'll just steal his.
Yeah, it'll be a year. It'll be a little bit before you see Android. In fact, Android, if you had a Lenovo phone, the Lenovo Fab 2 has a Tango sensor on it, but they didn't make it do inside-out tracking, which is what you need to really be able to do VR in 6 degrees.
What does that mean, inside-out tracking? What did you say?
So the HTC Vive, there's 2 boxes, or the Oculus Rift, there's 2 little cameras that are looking at you. And that's how it does how it sees your hands and your headset so that it knows where you are in space.
Okay.
That's called outside-in tracking. And that's lame. Because soon you're going to have glasses that look somewhat like these, right? And you're going to wear them around the shopping mall. Well, you're not going to carry 2 boxes to the shopping mall and set them up and walk around. That just ain't going to happen. So
the old boombox theory, we're walking around like this.
Yeah. So the new devices that come out soon will have a 3D sensor on them and will do inside out tracking. In other words, it's spraying light to the room, seeing things around the room, and then figuring out where the glasses are. And that way you can get the 6 degrees of freedom without having these stupid boxes on your walls.
Gotcha. Well, I know that there's some more questions here, and I remember one of them because Mia was asking something about Google, a Google Glass situation. Let's see. I don't know where that question went, Mia, if you're still in here, but it was something about, are we going to have an issue like the Google Glass thing?
Okay, Google Glass. We could spend a whole hour just on decompressing Google Glass and why it failed. Google Glass sucked at almost every level. The camera was unsharp because it was doing compression in software, not in hardware. It broke a lot. It only lasted 45 minutes because it just wasn't very efficient. Blah blah blah. There was a lot of problems with it, and they never got fixed. When I first got it, I said, oh, okay, this is like an R&D project, and we'll get new ones every couple months, and they'll be better and better and better. Mm-hmm. That never happened. In fact, they got worse and worse until they just gave up. I don't know. I don't know what.
And now we're giving them to the kids to play with the babies who are trying to figure out how to play them.
Don't even work. They're broken. They're broken. So, they're great for a museum or something. So leave all that aside. They did introduce a new problem, and it's a social contract problem because we're used to looking into each other's eyes.
Sure.
That's how we evolved over millions of years to do that. I have an autistic son. He can't do that very well, and that's a problem. That's going to be a problem for him.
Sure.
He's going to have to learn to be social and learn to look into people's eyes and pay attention to them instead of looking at his iPad.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be very hard for him to learn. But
But it can happen. My son has Asperger's and I taught him. So I know what you're talking about. And we started out with this as a baby, look in my eyes. And so now, and at first he would and now he knows that's what he's supposed to do. And it's not natural, but he does it. So go ahead.
It's so powerful that I'm looking down at the screen and looking at your eyes on the screen when I should be looking at the camera.
I know. I'm doing the same thing because I keep looking at you. And
So Google Glass introduced a new screen in between our eyes, right? And this has the same problem. It has a new screen between us. And if I was talking to you, I'd be looking at things and looking at monitors and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Google Glass didn't have enough utility to make it to make that problem not important. Right? Cars kill 33,000 or 40,000 people in the United States, yet we all drive. Why? Because there's enough utility for driving that we take the risk every day to go into our car. And the same thing is going to be true of the mixed reality glasses. These glasses, the next generation of glasses give you so much utility compared to the Google Glass that I think many people will use them. For instance, right away, you get as many monitors as you want around you, virtualized monitors that look like the TV, the screen that I'm talking to you on right now. Right? So think about being, on Sunday afternoon and being able to watch 10 football games all at one time without buying 10 TVs. You just put on the glasses and open up 10 monitors around you and put that one to ESPN, that one to ABC, that one to NBC, that one to Fox, that one, right? And now you get to watch 10 football.
And you're talking about virtual TV screens, or no, you're talking about physical monitors?
Virtual screens that look like real monitors.
Like on your video with the Magic Leap from Google, right?
Well, even this thing, right? If I turn on the HoloLens, I have 5 virtual monitors on my table here, and they're the same. They're similar to the real monitors that I'm looking at. They're not quite as high a resolution, so that there still is a resolution problem. But in 4 years, 5 years, the resolution on the glass is going to be better than what you can get on a monitor. And certainly you can grab the image and make it bigger, right? You can grab it with your hands and make it bigger and bigger until you...
Now, are you talking about literally grab like with the haptics? Are you talking about
just... grab it with your hands. The sensor here knows where your hands are, and so you can grab things with your hands. It's watching your fingers. Wow. On the front of this HoloLens are 4 little cameras that not just sense the room, so it builds a map of your room, a 3D map of your room, and it also sees your hands in front of it. So if you do this, it it tells you to select things, or if you do this, it tells the HoloLens to pull up a menu, and then you can start opening up more and more TVs around you, right?
Wow.
So you get as many screens as you want, and then you get all sorts of fun features. I mean, you talked about Pokemon. Well, the Pokemon on the phone wasn't locked to the real world. Wasn't really augmented reality because it really wasn't on top of reality. It was a layer on top. It wasn't locked to the world.
It wasn't 360 inside.
Well, with the HoloLens, if I put a shark right here, a virtual shark, I can walk all the way around the shark and it's locked here. It's actually on my table, and those virtual monitors are also on my table. I can walk around and see the back of the monitors, right? So it's pretty mind-blowing. That's where I'm going. It's pretty mind-blowing. These technologies that are coming are pretty mind-blowing, and they're going to shock a lot of people who haven't had their face into VR or into a HoloLens. And most people haven't had a chance to have some of these things on their faces yet.
Well, and I think that brings up some really good points. I'm going to pop back over here because, again, we have some really cool questions and some great people that have got joined here. Let's see. Tamika Bond is in the house. Melanie Weiser, Anthony Conklin, Ashley Reitz. I don't know if I said your last name right, sweetie, says iPhone 7 for the portrait mode on the camera was the only reason I would have upgraded. So, it's like sometimes we do buy for the smallest things, especially. And now, what do you think of those earbuds that everybody's so ticked off about?
I love the earbuds because they don't have a cord and they're really convenient. But my son has the earbuds, and I have these new Pioneer headphones and that just came out a couple of weeks ago. And these have 6 microphones. So 2 in each headset, 2 down here, and 2 over on the other headset.
But you can't use that with the iPhone, right? Because it doesn't have a jack.
What are you talking about?
Right? It doesn't,
What
right?
are you talking about?
Oh!
What are you talking
really?
about? And,
oh, my gosh.
And it lets you charge.
Oh, my gosh.
So, innovation, when something gets taken away, other people come along. The problem is, I assume someday soon we're not going to have any jacks. Why would we have a jack if we have wireless power and everything in your life is wireless, right? So this has a short lifespan. But when you, the AirPods are more convenient because they're smaller and they're wireless. They don't have this stupid wire. God, I hate this wire.
That you can accidentally move and then pull it out of your ears or out of the phone or the cord. Yeah.
But you give up a great deal of sound quality. These have much better sound quality, and these have noise canceling like a Bose or anything.
Right.
This is next generation noise canceling, and that's why they need the 6 microphones. So they're doing a lot of advanced math in the sound, and this thing has improved my life more than any other purchase I've made. That's
wow. Okay, that's it. There you go. Boom. We just got a mic drop there.
And I know they're working on the cordless versions because they know that's lame, but it's hard to do array microphones without a cord. So
is that a product people can purchase? They want to actually
they're $150. They're called Pioneer. They're the Pioneer, so it's Pioneer brand name.
Okay.
And it's Rayz, RAYZ.
Okay, so you guys heard it here first from Mr.
You got to buy them
Scoble.
from Pioneer's website. You can't buy them on Amazon, unfortunately.
You don't have like an affiliate link or anything, right? That we can drive some traffic for you?
Nope. They don't. Right. They don't pay anything like that. It's just, if you want them, you got to buy them.
If you want to be next gen, if you want to be on the cutting edge like Robert Scoble, then you got to get the Pioneers. I bet you just created an onslaught of people that are going to go get those. I love it. Okay, let's see. David says put a Post-it note by the lens and look at the Post-it note. Not sure what that means. Stacy wants to know if it's a new social problem. She's had to learn to ask permission before broadcasting other people because that's, all of a sudden you're doing that. And Mia said her comment was she's wondering if there will be the glass hole backlash on AR and VR as there was with Google Glass. So,
dude, it's Apple. You think anybody's going to give you shit about wearing an Apple product around? Hell no. This is a brand you're going to want on your face. And if you find somebody else who has them, you're going to be able to do all sorts of crazy stuff with them. I mean, you're going to be able to play Pokemon with them or a new kind of chess on the table or all sorts of stuff. Well, here's some use cases because I've been talking to companies who are building things for this next thing. PGA Tour, for instance. PGA Tour, if you're at the Masters, they already have a 3D image or a database, a grid of every hole on the course. And they already have sensors around the course that watch the ball because that's how they do the scoring. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't know that. They don't score with humans anymore. There is a computer that watches the ball on the course and scores it automatically for you.
How do they know whose ball it is?
Every ball has a chip in it now, and every ball. But
everybody loses the balls. I'm not alone in that. I know I'm not.
You get balls for you.
Now they're going to be like DNA tested.
NFL, by the way, is putting circuitry in the footballs now. So when the quarterback throws the ball, it knows the spin pattern coming off their fingers, and probably will be able to predict whether the catch will be made or not. Or at least
you're freaking me out right now. Mind blown.
NFL calls it next gen stats. So you're going to be able to wear these glasses at NFL or at a golf course and see all sorts of stuff on the players, right? You'll see the stats if you want it. You'll see how fast that player is running that's catching the ball. You'll see if he gets hit is that a concussion hit?
What's the velocity that he was hit at?
There's a reason they're spending the money on this stuff, because they're trying to reduce injuries, because that's a real problem for NFL. They're losing $1 billion a year to injury timeout, right? Yeah. So somebody breaks their leg, they're on the sidelines for 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, and they're still getting paid, but they're not playing, and nobody is getting the benefit of their skills.
Right.
So they're actually using artificial intelligence to watch the players play, and they're actually changing the rules because of the AI. The AI is looking at what caused an injury and is trying to come up with better rules so that they have fewer injuries. But you're going to be able to see that in your glasses someday, right? Okay. I predict it's 4 years away, but maybe.
Put that on your calendar, 4 years or earlier? Or are you saying around 4 years?
Well, I asked the guy who makes a new kind of camera, the founder of 8i. 8i is a new camera that does volumetric. So he has 40 cameras around you, or around an actor, for instance, or an actress. And it captures everything about that person in 3D. And it's not 3D like old school to 3D. It's actual 3D, where you could walk around the actor. And you're starting to see that camera being used in a lot of VR experiences. Buzz Aldrin is in one that NASA did, and he's like right there in 3D, and you can walk around him. That's again why you need 6 degrees of freedom, because you have new kinds of entertainment. So anyways, I said, when are we going to be able to watch the football game on our kitchen table?
Oh, like this? Oh,
and he said 4 years. So I'll go with the 4 year thing. I have a feeling we'll see some of this stuff earlier. The PGA Tour, for instance, says that they are going to be able to do a volumetric display of everything going on the golf course pretty soon, probably in the next year, 2 years.
So that just sprouted up like this whole additional line of questions for me. So I'm going to kind of fire hose you and let you blend them all in together. Okay.
Sure.
So there's this combination of, you're talking about these glasses. I want to talk about the glasses, like versus what Snapchat has is this piece of stuff that's coming out. I also want to talk about, are these
Snapchat glasses down here somewhere?
Okay. And the metrics, like, are they going to make these things so sensitive that when the guy's throwing the football, it actually can test and make sure he's not done drugs? Are we putting that kind of technology into this?
It's worse than that. Okay. Pfizer is doing research with these glasses because Pfizer looks at these glasses as a drug. And let's stay in sports for a second. There's a eye doctor down in South Africa I visited, Cheryl Lee Calder. She runs igym.com. And she works with professional athletes to hack their minds, to tune up their minds. And she makes your perception system better with the glasses. And the owner of the South African cycling team said that she took his worst rider in terms of falls per race. And today that rider is best at that task, because she fixed his eyes.
Wow.
With VR. And Pfizer, it says they're doing research on Alzheimer's, ADHD, pain, depression, and a few other things, and they're finding really good results. The University of Washington did a test with VR with burn victims and found that it was better than morphine at solving that kind of pain. So if it solves that kind of pain, it can solve a lot of pain.
Sure.
But these glasses can hack your brains. And in fact, this is why it's cool, right? Because all of a sudden your brain thinks that you're on top of a tall building and going to fall off, and you feel vertigo, right?
Right. And then,
right? And that's sort of weird. But where was I going with this drug thing? Anyways, Pfizer, who's this big drug company, says this is the new drug, and this is a drug that has fewer side effects than morphine or any of the drugs we give a depressive or an Alzheimer's patient, something like that. So it's quite exciting. This field is really interesting because of that. And we're going to see a lot of new things come along in the next few years.
Well, and like I said, it's so amazing, the pieces that you're talking about, because, as you're talking about this, drugs and distraction, I was in a wheelchair for 3.5 years, and I went through a series of, really painful procedures to try and get out. And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like this is so painful. Like I would watch a lot of TV to try and distract myself. I couldn't read a book. You literally had to re-engage my brain somewhere so I could get away for that moment. And, so when you talk about this, it seems like such a better place. And, but that leads us into this other question is it addictive? And I know somebody else here wants, is interested in the alcoholism
yes, it is
perspective.
Addiction.
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic.
Look at him. He's like,
I'm Robert. I'm an alcoholic.
Okay.
This is addictive. 6,000 people run across a park to get a Pokemon, right?
I do that, but that's to keep up with my kids.
that's a form of addiction right there, right? We're so addicted to our phones that we're using them while driving cars, even though everybody says not to. And we have people friends of mine who died because of that, right? Yep. People still look at their phones and do it every day. Sure. So we're addicted to these things, and there is a downside there, right? 7,000 people in the United States die because of phones while driving, right?
Right.
And the numbers are going up. It's not good. Until we get self-driving cars, don't do that.
We're going to talk about those in a few minutes.
Actually, we already have been, because the technology that runs the glasses and the technology that runs the self-driving cars are almost exactly the same.
Wow. Isn't that it seems like things are going at such a rapid pace, but you've shared with us that this stuff has been going on for a long time. They're just finally delivering it to the public. Yeah,
it finally, the Moore's Law finally is getting it down to a cost where a consumer can afford it. The F-35 fighter jet pilots, they've had it for years, but those things cost millions of dollars. The augmented reality system that the pilots are wearing. By the way, I visited one of the pilots who flies one of those F-35s. He says, I'll never lose to any other plane, right? And he said, there's two reasons. One, I can see you and you can't see me, because he has augmented reality and he can look down and see you underneath his plane. He can see right through the plane with these augmented reality glasses, and he can see all the sensor data that's sensing your plane. Remember, they only fly at night.
Right.
Mostly fly at night.
Wow.
And the guy beneath him, even though he can visually look up, can't see his plane because it's nighttime. And okay, you can put on night vision goggles, but that's not going to work very well in a fighter jet standpoint. And then he said, and their second reason is I can stop and they can't, because they have thrust vector jets, so he can pull back on the stick and just stop him and go right behind you and kill you. But scary. Someday we're going to have these glasses while driving. And I had lunch with the CEO of Mercedes-Benz a couple of weeks ago at South by, and he's talking about the glasses, because the glasses and the self-driving technology in the car are the same.
Wow.
The car has to see the road ahead, so it has a series of sensors on the bumper to make a 3D map of the world. And it has to have artificial intelligence that will see something new on the road and say, what is that? Is the kid running across the road? It needs to know everything it sees. It needs to be able to quantify that.
Wow.
And the glasses are going to do the same thing. So think about the glasses on your face. You look at your monitors, and it knows that's an Apple monitor, and that's a Coke can in front of me, right? And that's a HoloLens, and that's a bunch of business cards, and so on and so forth. So it can overwrite those things, right? And it's the same thing. So we're going to get glasses that are like that F-35 fighter jet cockpit. So think about Elon Musk showing us off some new glasses for the new Tesla.
Right. Oh my gosh.
The data from the LiDARs in the car ahead and all that.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars are a fascination of mine. I did my first interview in 2007. with the Stanford team and have been following it ever since.
Well, we are definitely going to branch into that AI portion in just a sec. We're going to take a quick opportunity to talk about our sponsor. One of our sponsors is Archon Mounts. And if you guys are doing any live streaming at all, then you know that Archon Mounts is the gear I use and most people that I know because it's solid state of the art stuff. So if you guys go to archon.com, you can also use the code FitchSlap. If you guys know my other podcast, He Said, Red Said, where red is always right, that somebody's going to get Fitch slapped. Well, we use that as a code there at Archon Mount, so you can save 20%. And remember that new ring light you guys have been watching me use, that is there as well. Check it out. Make sure that you guys have the right gear because as Robert is talking, live streaming, technology, everything is leading that direction. And if you want to build a business and a brand, if you guys are trying to even, have an opportunity to do some videos and stuff with your kids as this AR and VR stuff comes, you're going to need some kind of equipment to hold those things for you until these glasses are ready. And so I really recommend Archon Mounts. And I hope you guys will definitely check that out. And again, we have so many great people here. Those of you who have downloaded the podcast, again, from iTunes, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, we really do appreciate it. And I do recommend that you guys go watch episode 33 with Mr. Robert Scoble. There, again, we have it on VickiFitch.com. We also have it on YouTube, and we'll have it spread around to make sure. Now, I noticed those of you guys are in here live. If you'll do me a favor and share it out, I noticed somehow our title did not get into the broadcast, so nobody knows Robert's here unless they're actually scrolling through their news feed. If you guys would share that broadcast out for me, I'd really appreciate it because I know people are dying to come in and ask some additional questions. Although for you guys, I know you want this private time, and I totally get that. But if you do me a favor and share that, I'd really appreciate it. So let's bring Robert back on and just say, first of all, you are completely blowing my mind. I'm almost forgetting the audience is here because I just want to glean so much more information about what's happening and why, things are going. We got Stephen Caggiano in the house, Lisa Shell. We've got Ciro here. There's a lot of people. Stacy said, that's when she checked out the Oculus Rift when she was held up in recovery from a tibia fracture. And now all she could do is go into AR or VR to simulate relapse before she decided on the next drink. I don't know I'm not sure exactly what that meant, Stacey. I know that you have been doing some research on having this, AR and VR possibly, or gamifying things to become a substitute for alcohol and for addictions. Is that where we were going? And Robert, maybe you could kind of answer that.
It's a good way. It's a new drug. It's a new drug. It's a lot of fun. And it's really hard to feel your pain when you're playing VR against your friends. That's why I'm hoping to get a lot of my friends on it soon.
Okay. Well,
since quitting drinking 2 years ago, I've lost almost 50 pounds, and playing VR is part of that, right? You're moving around, you're off the couch, and when you're playing, you don't think about food, you don't think about anything else other than playing. It's a lot of fun.
Do you ever find people get dehydrated? I know my son that has Asperger's is always dehydrated. He never drinks enough.
My son's, I find my sons play for VR at 30 minutes a clip because they're sweating. They just are moving around so much.
Right.
Like there's a game called The Climb, which is like mountain climbing. You do that for half an hour, you're sweating,
Isn't that funny that you're literally, it's just this arm movement, but you really, your mind actually believes that you're climbing something, right? I mean, your body and you really get into that zone.
Yeah. That's
crazy. I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to process. So,
it's hard to explain until you actually do it. In the VR industry, we say there's two kinds of people: those who don't think they need VR and those who have tried it.
Well,
because once you try it, last night I gave a first demo to somebody, and it's like they come away going, "I had no idea." I can tell you all day long how cool it is, how amazing it is, but until you try it, you'll really have no idea. And you really need to give it a good hour in a good headset like an HTC Vive.
Guys, we're all going over to Robert's real quick. So come on, let's just get in your self-driving car. Let's go play over at Robert's house. We'll all get sweaty together.
Time that happens.
I bet. Your wife's probably like, no more boys now. No more playing. It's time for some quiet time.
No, it's time for the girls.
Yeah, the girls want to go check it out. Well, speaking of that, like when you were talking about the football thing, because I know Tony Robbins, when I was at his last event, he was talking about how he does this hologram thing when, and I would love to know how that brings into mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. He does an actual hologram for his Australia demonstrations. And we do have those virtual cards per se popping up. And I don't know why I thought of this, but I would like to know your answer on that. But I think of somebody creating an app that turns it into Pervville, like right where you're at the football game and now the cheerleaders and they're telling the measurements and they're, and there's whether or not they're single. So there's some fear that people have about what's going to go on with all this technology. So answer those two pieces if you can.
How naughty do you want to get on this show?
Right. It's a G-rated show, so you can talk in as long as we're not throwing nasty words around. But right, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of.
There's a new CNN show called Mostly Human that started at South by, and I watched a couple of first ones. Lori Segal is the journalist who's doing this. And she had on her show a woman who fell in love with her sex robot. So if that's already happening, and the sex robot is not very attractive, let me tell you.
Gotcha.
If that's already happening with a robot that's not very attractive, wait until you get mixed reality and you can augment anything. And we got Mr. or Mrs. Svelte, right? We're like, holy Toledo. My wife says I'm going to be Brad Pitt. So
go, Brad, go.
I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going there.
I love it. Well, and it just shows. Well, did you ever see that movie called Cherry 2000? I think it was with Melanie Griffith.
I haven't. No.
It's I don't know. It's an old movie, but it was kind of that. It was an AI, where she's a robot, but he was in love with her. I mean, of course, she.
Oh, you mean
like
the movie?
Yeah.
Her?
Yeah, it was called Cherry 2000, and Cherry was the robot, and they had this series of them, and that's the thing is people were falling in love with this artificial intelligence back then, because let's face it, and this really is a great bridge, because people are missing connection right now, and that's what I try and tell entrepreneurs and people, that they need to connect, and that's why people are connecting with AI, because, I mean, if those kind of love relationships are forming, it's because someone's listening, even though it's not a true listening, the responses are built in. People aren't a lot of times. So when they're lonely, it's not about what the response is. It's about there's some kind of compassion and empathy. And if we're programming that, into computers, into technology, I can see some real benefits, like helping, children that have lost something and, that kind of thing, where and to the part where, people are feeling lost about human connection because they're really holding on to artificial intelligence.
Hey, Alexa.
Right. I know. Alexa, play the song again.
Do you find it interesting that all these things have female names? Although Samsung just broke that with Bixby, right? Samsung bought a company called Viv, which came from Siri. And
do you guys hear Robert's volume down, or is it me? Robert, can you?
I haven't touched
There
anything.
you go. I think it was your headset. Go ahead.
Okay,
we're good.
Sorry.
That's okay. So Bixby. Well, I think women's voices are typically a little bit liltier, right? They're a little bit more even keel, like for, as the average person, responds. But yeah, so I think, I mean, I don't know. I'd probably pop mine in with maybe an Aussie accent or an English accent or something. We can. Aussie, oi. So, okay. So yes, we have been talking to AI. I haven't fallen in love with Alexa yet, but I do appreciate the fact that she can play my favorite song when I want to hear it. So,
she can bring you toilet paper in 2 days or less.
I haven't done that part. Okay. I don't know. I know that there's the buttons that you can do from Amazon or whatever, but does Alexa actually order products for you? Because I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. That's why you buy an Amazon product. Right?
Makes sense.
They're really good about shopping. Hey, Alexa, bring me toilet paper, and it'll tell you the last time you bought toilet paper, you bought Charmin 20 ply,
get out
pack.
Is this true? Because I got it as a gift for Christmas, and all I've done is plug it in and tell it to play some music and some alarms.
You can ask it to tell you a joke too. In fact, you can ask it, hey, Alexa, are you married? And it'll say, no, I'm attached to the wall.
I got to explore Alexa a little bit more. Apparently, I've been sheltered.
You can say, Alexa, set a timer, and it'll set a timer to whatever minute you tell it to, right?
That
Alexa,
I've done.
the news, it plays NPR or whatever. I'm sure we're going to have to have a Trump version soon. So.
Oh my gosh!
Breitbart and Fox News on that one. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting you guys again. Let's see comments here. Let's see. Stacy said, I'm thinking if we could VR the experience of a hangover before we drink, it might negate some of the drinking. So that's an interesting perspective.
It never stopped me knowing what the consequences were.
But if you had to feel them first, like one, you were sober.
No, I knew what the consequences. I was hungover the morning before, right? I mean, come on, you know the consequences. You're impelled to keep going, and that's why alcoholics can't even taste alcohol, because you can't stop. Just I used to see a bottle of Camus and it would be gone. Well,
and the fact that you're bringing it up and sharing that openly, we really appreciate that, because we do know that there are a lot of people that struggle with different types of addictions. And this one, this is, like you said, it's a new medium, a new opportunity. And I see Mr. Brian Fanzo in the house. Hey, doll, it's good to see you. Tim McVeigh. Fanzo. Right. I know. We're the Fanzo fans right here. Whoop, whoop. And he's got FOMO. That's why he had to come in. Right.
Oh, yeah. He's like, something's happening on the internet that I'm not part of.
Right. Oh. I got to get in. Brian's one of my fun. I love having Brian on the show. He's the only one I know that talks faster than I do. Although you're a pretty fast talker.
I try to slow it down because I'm usually throwing so many new things at people. I have to remember to breathe and let them
let's see. Yeah, right. Okay, and so let's see. Let's see. I don't know what else you guys got here. Tim says Siri is not our friend, and
I don't know what Siri coming.
Right. Is there? Oh, so do tell, because he knows everything.
Siri was launched in my son's bed in this room, right? This is the first place that Siri was shown outside.
Did you guys hear that? Siri was launched here, and you were actually noted as you were one of two people that understood Siri, right? You and Steve Jobs or something.
Yeah, that's what the investors say. That's why I keep getting invited to these parties where I find out stuff. So Siri has a problem. If you ask Siri, how many, in fact, we can even do it live.
Let's just do it, Robert. Let's just get right in there and do it.
Hey, Siri, how many people are checked in at the Half Moon Bay Ritz on Foursquare?
Let me think.
And it gives you a stupid error, right?
For how many people are checked in at the Half Moon Bay Ritz on Foursquare?
But it understood you just fine, right? So the voice recognition part works. Foursquare actually does have an answer to that. There is actually an answer to how many people are checked in at the Half Moon Bay Ritz right now. And Foursquare has an API, or an application programming interface, which is how code would talk to their system. But Siri, when you search like that, it has 80 lines of code that were handwritten to hook up what you said to the API. And Apple hasn't done that. So it fails and gives you a Bing answer from the search engine. And it's a stupid answer. It's not right. And this is why Siri sucks. When it works, it's amazing, right? But it only works, 0.1% of the time. Out of all the trillions of things you could possibly ask Siri, it only works a small percentage of the time, because Apple has only coded a small percentage of the possible things you can answer.
Gotcha.
So Siri, so two of the guys left Apple and started this company called Viv, and they showed me their system writes the code as you search. So it's more flexible right there. And it can be, the API from Foursquare can give hints to the engine and say, hey, if you write the result like this, we can understand you. And so it's more open on the bottom end, and it's more flexible, and the AI is better because it has much newer technology. And so Bixby on Samsung should be much more flexible than Siri, and on and on. But anyways, I was having dinner with the third guy 3 years ago. Tom is his name. And I asked him, what are you learning by being part of Apple right now and running Siri, which is really an important thing? And he goes, well, I've learned Google's beating me. And I said, how do you know that? He goes, well, we instrumented Google and we're measuring the rate at which Google learns, and we're measuring the rate at which Apple learns. And we know Google is learning faster. In other words, the AI at Google is better. And that's one of the reasons Google did all that investment in self-driving cars, to understand how to build real-time systems better. And so he says, I'm going to have to rewrite Siri from scratch. And that's what we're going to see this year. Siri, which will have these new flexible, it still won't work everywhere, but it'll work a lot more places, and it'll give you a closer answer to reality, or it'll just say, hey, just hang out an hour and you'll get an answer, because Foursquare will figure it out and then give you an answer back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of pulls in the whole bot thing, which we were just at Social Media Marketing World, and I'm going to give you an example. But Brian says, when you're on Periscope, just say, hey, Alexa, and everyone watching you freaks out.
Yeah, we just did that, right? So everybody watching has their Amazon thing, their Siri thing's going crazy right now.
I love it. That is so funny. Let's see. And Ashley wants to know what publications you read to keep up with all these advances and
which
beyond the personal leaks.
Is the more accurate answer. For instance, I've been working on my VR list today on Twitter. I have 2,000 people I listen to on Twitter who are all in the VR.
One of them's me, right?
Yeah. Everybody who's somebody in VR, I'm getting a pretty good list together now. So I read that list.
I got my glasses. That makes me a pro, right?
Yeah. And I see everything that moves, in the VR space. And I have a list of tech journalists, and I have a list of tech news brands, hundreds of them. So the real question is, what don't I read? I don't even know the answer to that. But if you want a little hint to watch the tech industry, go to techmeme.com, and that site has a pretty good link of everything that's moving in the tech space right now.
Well, that's a good tip. So let's talk about the chatbots. Okay, we were at Social Media Marketing World, and they were talking about bots and stuff. And as a matter of fact, Stacy DePolo and I were going to have, we were going to go have breakfast. And so we actually used the AI interface, by Twitter. We just did at Hyatt Concierge, where can we get some great food? And what did we get back? Hey, try biking. Like, you're like, what? I mean, you got this interface that you want to use a bot. Seriously, food is kind of one of the primary things that people ask for at a hotel, like, food, lodging, these things. And so we were just cracking up. Like, are you kidding? Like, if we would have said, how do I get to the Empire State Building? I can see that maybe not having its faculties, but.
The bots will make a lot of sense when you have a visual to go with them, because part of the problem with Siri, you sort of nailed it on Alexa. You didn't even know all the things that Alexa can do, right? Tell Alexa, tell me a joke. Alexa, set a timer. Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, tell me the news. Now everybody's Amazon's going crazy, right? Alexa, play Skrillex on Spotify, right? Boom, boom, boom. All sorts of things. There's hundreds of things you could tell it, and more every day, because they have a new developer program, and developers can hook in these new kinds of bots to this thing and do things. But it's not very satisfying, and you don't know the constraints. You don't know what it does well and what it doesn't do well. And it's really hard to figure that out. You have to ask it a lot of questions to figure that out. Bots really work well when it's well defined. Visa showed me a bot where you could talk to it and say, type to it and say, what's my balance on my credit card? That would be something you would think of talking to the credit card, and it gives you an accurate answer to that. Right. The AI will get better, but it's still a ways away from being human, even in the best of situations. And we don't have an aggregator that's really good, that's top level like Siri or like Alexa is, that would talk to the millions of bots that are being written. for different things, and that'll come. It'll all come. But yeah, the bot industry is interesting. It certainly is something to watch over the next few years, and certainly there's a lot of pressure on these big companies to do more online, because if you call them up, it costs what, $100. If you call your bank, for instance, it's probably around $100 for a human to pick up the phone and talk to you, right?
Which is pathetic, right?
And if they can save one of those calls by automating it and making you talk to a bot on a mobile app, they can save a lot of money. So the marketers are hot and bothered by this, but the tech is still a little early. It's just a little early, maybe a year away from being really interesting.
So, and I love what Brian wrote. He wrote, "Love this Geek Fest. In 2004, I wrote my dream job, be an evangelist hybrid of Guy and Scoble. Scoble has been a pioneer and leader forever. He's one of a kind." That's awesome? Isn't that awesome?
Guy got a free Mercedes. I got a ride in the first self-driving Mercedes.
You're like, wait,
being between those is pretty good, I guess.
Well, he has 20 million followers. I bet you got a serious following, but when we bump you up, or, we can throw you over that ledge.
I'm not number one in the world anymore.
You're number one in my book. That's all I have to say, Robert. And that matters, right? That matters.
Yeah. I'm very happy with what I have. Being able to see new things and talk to the people who are building these things every day is really a privilege.
Well, that's your passion comes through in that. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's what your passion comes through in what you say. And that's one of the reasons when I saw you and Shell talking, you were engaged with the audience, but it's almost like it didn't matter, right? Like you were just sharing, like everybody, whoever wants to get on this bus, come on, because if you don't get me, it's okay. You can go. You're not part of this particular tribe. But if you get me, get in here. Let's check this out. Let's experience it together. And I love that, that whole feel, because that's who you were. You were coming out with this true, authentic you. And it was really refreshing.
Get excited by this industry, I don't know. This industry is spending billions of dollars per quarter in R&D right now for these mixed reality glasses. And that, if that doesn't get you excited to see a new product take shape that's going to change everybody's lives, I don't know. It's more exciting than football to me. It's a far bigger game than football.
Well, and when you show the one video, I think it's on Scobleizer.com, is where they have the medical stuff where I found that completely fascinating. And then when you switched over and it showed the pieces on the desk and the pieces popping up, but I looked at that and I saw on the medical piece, here's a spiral fracture, here's a this, here's a that, like where you could look around and you could check it out and you could see the heart pumping and it was just, the
amazing. Medical students are using AR and VR to learn how to do surgery now. And the machines, a lot of the high-end surgeons are actually doing surgery on robots, and they're training the robots to do the surgery because the AIs are starting to learn how to suture, how to do specific things, the stents into hearts and stuff like that. But the medical students are visualizing what the surgery is going to be like on a virtual body instead of having to, experiment on a kid or on an old person, something like that.
And are they physically going to be able to feel that, like it's actual skin run through it? That's crazy.
The robots are pretty crazy because they were designed for the military. Because, if you're a Stanford surgeon, you're not going to fly to Afghanistan and do a surgery. It's just not going to be interesting to you. And so they put a robot in Afghanistan and they go into their robot at Stanford and they can actually do the surgery remotely now. And they can feel when the needle or whatever they're doing and when you hit bone or when you hit skin or whatever. They let me do it. And I did a suture on one of the robots. It's pretty incredible.
Wow. And see, that's so neat too. Like, how did you find yourself in that space, Robert? Like, I know you said your dad worked at Lockheed and that you were just kind of this techie thing. So when did it hit you? Like, this is just, I am a tech guy. This is my jam.
I was 13 and I got a tour of a little startup in Cupertino that had one little building, and I was on the computer club at junior high. I was the first one to unbox an Apple II in 1977. And I still remember thinking this will change my life. I didn't know how.
Right.
And it wasn't until later that I really figured out I would make a career out of seeing startups and seeing new things. But I always liked new things all the way back to being a kid. I always liked new things, and continues to this day. If I go to a music festival, I'm not going to see AC/DC. I'm going to go see a new EDM concert. That's just who I am. I'm always looking for new, not old.
Got you.
For a whole lot of reasons. It comes down to that I was sexually abused as a child. So I think part of that is I don't want to go back to childhood. It wasn't that fun for me, where other people have really fond memories of their childhood.
Sure.
I want to go forward. I want to do something new.
Well, the fact that you've identified is like, I'm looking to the future, and that futurist portion of who you are, saying, I want to continue. And that probably really blends in why it's so important for you to share this with other people, like how this can change your life. This isn't just fun. This isn't just a game. This is life-changing opportunities. And well, you get to see with your son, right? That understanding that, autism is, it's a big scale, right? My son has Asperger's, even ADD is on the scale. And we know that there's some friends of ours here in the chat box that have ADD, that this is a big scale. And that if we can continue to understand how to utilize this technology to help people, we may be able to, I don't want to say remediate, because I don't think there's anything wrong with them. They're just different, right? Their brains process information differently, and on a different level. And even like, the brilliance that comes out of, this spectrum is crazy.
These glasses could, and I think will save people's lives, because they have the same technology as self-driving cars, and self-driving cars are definitely going to save people's lives.
Sure.
The technology I'm seeing being developed by Mercedes and the whole industry, it's not just one company, Tesla, and many others, really is amazing. And the glasses could see see at least 180 degrees. So my son, who doesn't look at around when he crosses the street, right? His glasses could turn red and say stop, right? Because the glasses saw that a bus is coming and that he doesn't have a green light, right?
Yeah.
The AI is going to recognize that stoplight really well, because that's what it was trained to do by the self-driving industry.
You know what? I hadn't even thought about that. That's powerful. And like, that actually touches my heart. Kids that could fall into pools and different things that, something could stop and, or make the noise beforehand. And, and like you said, that's just really amazing.
It'll help blind people infinitely, because it's seeing everything on my table. Right. And
right.
It knows where my keys are. It knows where my Coke is. And it can tell me where everything is. Hey, if you put your hand over here, you're going to feel a coffee. Right.
Right.
It'll remember where you left the keys.
That's important right there.
Every time you lay something down, it could build a memory aid. The guy who's running Google has told me that in 7 years, we're going to have really amazing memory aids on these glasses that are going to even remember, if you go far enough into the future, my kids are going to be reminded of when they last met you, right?
When they've last met you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it'll say in his glasses, 10, 20 years from now, we'll say, hey, you met Vicki at South by Southwest in 2017 or something like that. Right.
And she was your favorite person. Yeah.
You had a great time.
Oh, yeah. Right. For some of you guys, you might need to remember those things. Okay. So, hey, John's in the house, and Brian asked a question. Robert, what impact does AR/VR have on decisions being made by Facebook today, such as Facebook Stories, Facebook Messenger growth, and does the move to mobile-only environment make AR and VR a faster reality?
Yeah. I'll take the second part of that and remind me the first part. The mobile industry, because of the scale of the mobile industry, right? I mean, making 71 million of these things, and they're not alone. Hundreds of millions of phones being sold every year.
Talk a little bit louder, Robert. I don't know what's going on. There you go.
I don't know either. But hundreds of millions of phones means that there's R&D being done on every component in this phone, right? The chip, the GPU, the memory, the cameras, the antennas, the screens are all seeing billions of dollars of R&D being done to them. And that's what's driving the glasses, because the glasses are using the same exact technology. It's, it's the GPU, it's a processor, it's a wireless radio, it's et cetera, et cetera. And so the R&D that has happened because of the cell phone industry is letting this stuff happen. So that's the end. This is happening because of mobile, and it's speeding up. And in fact, I think Apple is going to take us on a little journey of computing like this to computing like this, where I would see some Pokemons on the street, to computing like this and putting it in a headset and playing some VR, like with your headset there, some AR, so I can, use my hands to do things. And then I'll say, that's too heavy, so let's go all the way to glasses, right? Or 3 ounces. And they're going to take us on that journey over the next 18 months, I predict.
Didn't I hear you talk about the next stage past that, which is going to be like contact lenses, where you're not actually putting something on your face?
I mean, yeah, I don't like contact lenses. I have contacts and I hate them on my eyes. And keep in mind, those are really, really thin pieces of plastic that actually breathe, that actually let air through them. What they call them. And I still hate them. I hate putting them in. I hate wearing them. My eyes aren't good enough to really use them properly. And I don't see that world coming for 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Because you have to still shrink the electronics down to such a level to be able to put them onto something that goes on your eyes and make them basically throwaway. That's still a ways away. I can see it coming, and there's some companies that patented ideas, Sony has and stuff like that, but they don't tell you the resolution, they don't tell you the battery life, they don't tell you what kind of processing. You don't know anything about those. It just they put a little image on your eye. It's not there.
Okay.
So for the next 10 years, let's just say 10 years, you're going to wear glasses. And that's going to be the way it is. But the glasses every year are going to get better. The viewing angle is going to get better. Right now, the viewing angle on this HoloLens is very narrow. I can only see the virtual things on the table at about 20 degrees per eye.
Okay.
35 degrees total, somewhere like that. And the first glasses I expect to have narrow angles like that, because they're having to make them really small and really lightweight, and the optics just aren't there. The other problem with optics, and you'll start hearing this over the next 2-3 years, the HoloLens, the virtual things are on one focal plane. And that means your eyes get a little strained after using them all day long, because your eyes are always refocusing on things, right? The Coke can here is closer than my face, and watch the camera, right? It starts focusing on it, right? And your eye is doing the same thing. Your eye is constantly refocusing in and out on things. And with this HoloLens, you can't get virtual things closer than about this far from your eyes. And that's going to be a problem, because, if you're wanting to work on something, or if you want to appreciate something, you really want to get close to it and work with it. There's new optics that are coming that are multifocal point. They solve these problems, but I don't know that we're going to see them on the first products. I think that's a year, 2 years down the road.
Okay.
This is actually what this company Magic Leap is trying to do, is trying to do optics that are wider and have more focal points to make it feel more natural. And if they can pull that off and Apple can't, then they'll have something that people really talk about and say, man, this is way better of an experience wearing the Magic Leap glasses than the Apple glasses, for instance, right?
Well, and like you said,
it's going to be for 40 years, these things are going to get better. And then this is the beginning of a new 40-year cycle, right? The personal computer started in 1977 and is still improving to this day, right? The Surface and the Macintoshes are still getting better. They're still getting better screens. They're still getting more memory. They're still getting better processors, right? This industry just keeps moving along at a pretty constant rate. We call it Moore's Law, right? The amount of things on your computer double every 18 months, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
for transistors, but it's a whole bunch of things that are definitely.
You think I remember the first computer was a door-to-door salesman that came to our house, and that's my dad wanted a computer. Yeah. Isn't that? It's just like things have just changed so much. Yeah. So as we're, we have about 10 more minutes, and so we want to know. I know what I want to know. I'll look and see if there's any other questions. But what do you see coming next, Robert? What's coming next for you? What's coming next for technology? You're the futurist. Where are we going? I mean, you've shared a lot today, but what have we missed that you wanted to share?
The reason I left Rackspace, I was a public face of a public company for 7 years at Rackspace in the cloud computing era. Mm-hmm. And cloud computing is still kicking along, is still getting better because hard drives and memory devices are still getting better. And the software that runs data centers still is getting better, blah, blah, blah. But it's not exciting like mixed reality. It's not sexy. It's sort of like, the pipes in your wall can be 30% more efficient. That's great. Until I need a new pipe, I'm not going to worry about that. The mixed reality glasses are the user interface for smart cities, for Internet of Things devices. Like these lights I'm looking at are Internet of Things devices, right? Soon I'll be able to look at these devices, at these lights, and just with my finger, I can change the color on them, right? Mm-hmm. Or with my eyes soon, right? Right. We should talk about eye sensors because there's a variety of companies that are building eye sensors for the glasses, and it's pretty mind-blowing. A company called iFluence showed me a pair of glasses that I used my eyes to look at like this iPhone, and a menu pops off the iPhone and it says that's an iPhone 7 Plus, and it's $1,199 on Amazon right now. Wow. And just visually, just using your eyes, and you can type with your eyes on a keyboard, a virtualized keyboard in front of you. So think about just walking around the world and you don't want to talk to your computer. You don't want to use your hands out in front, just use your eyes, and you'll be able to type messages to someone.
Even quadriplegics.
That's where this technology came from, because they've had it since the 80s, right? Where they use their eyes to communicate on a board. I used to have a friend who was quadriplegic, and she had a board in front of her on a wheelchair, and she would use her eyes to look at combinations of things to chord words to you. And she could type pretty fast with her eyes to you, right? And talk with you. And that's where this technology is coming from. And there's iFluence went to Google. So Google has iFluence, and iTribe in Copenhagen got bought by Facebook. And there's a few others out there too that I'm watching. So a lot of new things coming to the glass. But the glasses are going to control your drone, and they're going to control your self-driving car, and they're going to control everything in your life. So I like the glasses. But I keep up to date on Internet of Things and smart cities and robots. Qualcomm showed me their drone, which does the same technique. It maps out the room, and then you can fly it right at the wall, and it stops an inch from the wall because it knows where the wall is. So,
isn't that amazing? I mean, seriously, like it's the technology, I think about the technology of, spatial awareness a little bit when I look at the robot, what is it called? The vacuum robot. What's the name of that thing?
I know.
I know, right? I have two of them. I can't even. Roomba. Thank you. But where it goes to the edge and it knows that there's a stair and it backs off. It's like it's just the technology just continues to.
But when you map out your house with these glasses, right? It's going to know everything about your house. And so it really is going to have some smarts about navigating around inside your house or outside in the real world, right? So that's what I'm saying. This stuff is not going to stop. We're going to get a new 3D map of the world soon with these glasses and with the self-driving car. Mercedes says they're building one already, and their resolution is 2 centimeters per voxel volume, which is a volumetric pixel.
Okay.
So when you take a photo, it's grids of pixels, right? Well, this is volumetric. It's a pixel that it's like a Coke can, 1 pixel,
Right.
And so now that you know those voxels all over the world, you can change anything on their surfaces, right? You can paint it on all your walls. And in fact, one of the fun things with this HoloLens, there's a game called Robo Raid that the aliens blow holes in your walls, and
oh my god,
come out of the walls, and you have to shoot them with your fingers, right? Because it knows all the surfaces in your room. It mapped them all out, and then it can put things on those surfaces. There's another game called Fragments where a murder happens right in your room. It already knows what your room is, and it puts stuff on all the walls, which are the clues to the murder, and then you have to solve the murder. And at some point, there's little rats that are running around the floor.
Robert.
And they know where your feet are because
your
feet are higher than the floor. So it runs up to your feet and walks around your feet, and it really freaks everybody out. It's a lot of fun.
Well, do you find, this, I remember I think I was talking out on the show with Kathy, is that at one point, when I was going through all that stuff when I was in the wheelchair, that I had to take an Ambien because I was having trouble sleeping. And I was so freaking traumatized the next day because I had all this stuff happening. I mean, I just can't help but thinking that the VR part is like that. And have you seen that show called Black Mirror?
Of course.
Well, I figured, right? That episode number 2, I think it is, episode number 1 was sad with the whole, social, like you're not good enough. But then episode number 2, it just kept getting freakier and freakier. And then
was
to find out
where you could block your friends?
No,
or where you could block people and they would disappear. They would be out in the world.
Episode 2 was the one where the guy went into a virtual reality thing, and then I don't want to blow up for them, but you go into this virtual reality place and there's spiders and there's things,
I remember that one.
It was crazy. And then when you find out at the end, like it totally full circle blows your mind at the end that you're like, what? Wait, no, that can't happen. But that, that kind of stuff, I would be freaked out. Like,
I think I'm going to have to take the glasses off a lot to make sure that
it's real, right?
Right. Because check into reality, right? If the house across the street blows up, right? You got to take off the glasses and make sure that it really blew up or not, right? Because
people become desensitized to their neighbor's house blowing up.
The first rule of mixed reality is anything you can describe to me visually is going to be possible, no matter how weird, how crazy or whatever. It just costs money to do it, right? If you want to blow up this house and put a bomb right here and experience that, you can do that visually. And it'll freak people out. Yeah. I go back to 2011. Matayo's CTO showed me monsters on the sides of skyscrapers in 2011. And I expect to see an entire city get destroyed virtually, right?
Like King Kong, but virtually. Oh my gosh!
Independence Day. Go to your favorite city and watch your city get blown up by aliens, and there'll be F-35s and aliens fighting and on your city, and they'll be blowing up buildings, and buildings will be falling down, and you'll have to take the glass off and make sure.
I have a new business that we could start, Robert. I just thought of a new business. It'll be like the X's, like where you go and you destroy your ex's house because they really make.
That's already on iPad, man. There's a game my kids do. They blow me up all the time on an iPad, right? So wait until they can do it with glasses,
Oh my gosh.
All the stuff in Black Mirror is true. It's the dark side.
Okay, stop it. Stop it. Don't take my Pollyanna world and turn it upside down, Robert. I can't.
No, there's a lot of good to this side too, which Black Mirror doesn't cover the good. And, it's fun to watch Black Mirror.
Absolutely. It's completely fun. And like I said, and what I like about it is I like psychological thrillers. And I think that's really where it goes, is that it takes your mind to the edge and goes, holy crap, that's where are we? And as a society, what are we doing? And are we protecting ourselves? Are we putting ourselves in this and the rebellion? I don't know if you remember the first episode where it was all about your ratings and everybody's good and good and good. And then at the end, the trucker, she's like, well, I just got tired of doing this. And like, now she's a 1, like, oh, I can't really be seen with you. It's just, are we really going to get that place? And are there going to be people like you and I that are standing up and saying, hey, we are going to be who we are. It doesn't matter what your rating is. I mean, there's just
good luck with that.
Yeah. Oh, Robert's saying I'm on my own. Thanks a lot, Robert. I already got thrown under the bus.
Buy a car without a credit score, right?
Yeah, right. I know. It's true. Right. It's crazy. But to be able to have your credit score drop because you raised your voice, whoop, sorry, whoop, whoop.
It happens already.
Oh, you're scaring me. Mr. Ross Brand is in the house too. Oh my gosh. We have, Robert, you have delivered some unbelievable value. I mean, you have your book is out and people can get it on Amazon, but can they get it from you direct, or do they need to go to Amazon to get
Amazon.
it? Okay.
Doesn't everybody buy everything on Amazon now? I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have a sponsor that competes with Amazon.
I don't, not on the show. So we're all good there, but
they print paper and they have Kindle. So you can buy our book 3 times, right? On Kindle, on paper, and on Audible for audio. And what's really cool is Amazon has hooked up the Kindle and the Audible together. So if you read to page 49 on the Kindle, and then you get in your car and you start listening to the Audible, it'll start on the same page. And so it's really, really pretty cool. They've done a good job of syncing the two together.
Well, and that's what we love, right? Is we love to watch technology, how it can serve us, where they'll blend things together, and that's what's happening. And people like you that are really, innovators in that marketplace, and I'm sure, people are telling you what's happening, but I'm sure that people also are taking pieces out of your playbook, things that you're suggesting and saying, and creating from that. And that's what that's what makes it even more special, is that you're a visionary and that you're looking at the future as an opportunity, and you're not a doomsayer, because there's a lot of people that know the stuff we're talking about today, and they're these doomsayers, like the earth is going to explode, it's going to be over, and you take it and say
it's more subtle than that usually. I had people in 1989 when I was going to school. The Macintosh is for idiots. Real people don't need that. They can learn to type, and they were wrong. And I've heard this kind of
real people use abacuses.
People hate change. They hate, what do you mean I have to wear glasses, right? What do you mean I have to learn something new? I like my iPhone. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's true. I like change when it's planned. I don't like change when it just comes. And I hate changing phones and change. I don't know if like on this phone, does anybody know what the rainbow screen of death is? I just have to ask you, because I used to get the green screen of death. Now I get a rainbow screen of death. Like it just turns into this weird rainbow and then freezes. And, so I'm ready for a change because of that. But other than that, I don't want, just leave me alone. Let me use it till it dies.
I don't know. My screen is delaminating. I gotta take it in.
Oh, see, what's up with that? They're coming up more and more features and less quality.
Don't get mad at your iPhone. That's the lesson.
Don't throw it. Well, this thing, I have to tell you, this thing has overheated since the minute I got it. Like literally the guy's transferring the data. I'm like, dude, that's hot. And he kept saying, oh, no. That was my bad for even listening to his gibberish, But anyway,
iPhone.
So... Huh? No,
iPhone.
Stop it. I'm not going to the dark side.
You're getting an iPhone.
T-Mobile gave me an iPhone for 30 days. And so I use it. I hated it. I hate that single button. I didn't like it.
There's not going to be a button next time.
Well, that's even worse, unless my voice will.
No, you're not. In 3 years, you're not using a phone at all.
It's my eyeballs, right?
You're using glasses because you can have a virtual phone in your hand. Why would you carry a real phone?
Oh my gosh, you're saying we're actually going to have a virtual phone?
Yeah.
I didn't get that part.
You're going to have virtual everything. Why would you have a physical phone in your hand? It's ridiculous. The glasses are going to be all self-contained. Huawei has a watch with an entire cell phone on the watch. If they can put an entire cell phone on the watch, they can do it on glasses, right?
You're blowing my mind, Robert. Like, I can't even process all this. Now I don't even have, which I do like, because nobody likes to walk around with their phone in their hand when they don't have a pocket, So, okay. What about roller coasters? What are we doing there? Are we going to have straps, and are they going to be cool? I want to know, are we going to have sexy glasses? Because I don't want trashy glasses. He's like, everything from Apple is sexy. I want bling on my glasses.
Apple isn't working on fashion? They hired the lady who used to run Burberry. Come on.
Oh. Okay. Well, good for them.
They got Dr. Dre. He better be doing something cool.
Right. Good. No, good points. That people are they're marketing to the people that want the products. I mean, it's all brilliance. It's brilliance packed in.
And if Tim Cook screws up, Tesla's coming. So is Mercedes. So do you want Mercedes on your glasses? Absolutely.
Right.
I want Mercedes.
I love it. Well, what other tips and what other knowledge bombs do you want to drop on these people before we go?
I think that's enough.
Right? I know. They're trying to, unbury themselves from the knowledge.
For brands, we do a consulting with brands, and right now you need to get into VR to understand how this stuff starts to work and how to build your engineering teams, because they're going to have to learn Unity if they don't know it yet, which means they need to learn how to program in C#, not Java, which is a couple of weeks of learning there, a lot of YouTube videos, everything you can learn on YouTube now. But you need to start getting your teams and thinking about this world that's coming. If you want to be on day one, right? If you want to have a Marriott hotel and have an augmented hotel, you better be starting to think about it now.
Right.
Because Apple's coming this year, and next year, Apple is going to come out with glasses, and Google and Facebook and Snap and blah, blah, blah. Oh, Facebook bought a micro LED company in Ireland. Why does a social network need a micro LED company? It's a company that makes LEDs that are smaller than your hair and can put probably 32 on the end of a strand of hair, because that's what they did. They did LEDs for fiber optic lines that go across the ocean, right? And these are really bright and really small LEDs. Why do you need that? Well, he's going to put a bunch around the lenses to shove light into the lenses, and it's going to get reflected in your eyes. That's going to be the new monitor. So this stuff is seeing hundreds of billions of dollars in R&D across the industry. And it's crazy what's going on.
I would say that makes it even more exciting, right? That we're living in this age of technology. And if we start looking at it now as an adventure, then we'll be able to absorb it and start kind of living it. And like you said, start getting into the VR, start getting into understanding what the augmented and the mixed reality is, and start watching and making sure that you follow Robert Scoble all over every platform that he's on.
Yeah,
and
Facebook is the best.
Facebook is his best.
I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, but Facebook is where I spend my time.
He hangs out in Facebook and some really cool Facebook groups with some really cool people.
Must be right.
Right? Exactly. So, and that's why I'm saying this is a guy that has, millions of people love him, adore him, follow him, and want more of whatever he's got going on, want to see him. That's why he and Shell started that company. That's why, again, if you continue to watch him, you'll see there's so much more to Robert than just these layers that he shared with us tonight. I mean, Robert, honestly, you've completely blown us away. Do you have any speaking engagements coming up that people can come and see you at?
I'm going to Paris in a couple of weeks.
Just Paris. He's just going to Paris, people.
Yeah, I've been traveling too much. I'll be at Collision in New Orleans in early May.
Okay.
And that's just the ones I can remember. But,
okay. Yeah. And do you have a calendar or anything up on your website that tells people where you're going to be so they can follow you?
I should do that. That's my speaking agency should do that, actually.
They should. Tell them, get on that. Get on it.
I usually share that kind of stuff on Facebook and say, next week I'll be in Paris or whatever. So.
And you want them to follow you on the Scobleizer page, correct?
No, just follow me on my personal page. That's the best way. That's
okay.
Right. I'm there all day long. I'm addicted to Facebook like I used to be addicted to alcohol. I'll have to go into a 12-step program for Facebook at some point. But.
Well, if there's somebody in that, because I tried to friend you and I can't because you have too many friends. I am following you, but if you find a friend that falls off, feel free to connect with me because I'm fun peeps. That's all I have to say. We really do appreciate you. And then the best way to reach him, he just told you, is on Facebook. He is also on Twitter and LinkedIn. But
we don't need to be friends. I read all my other boxes, right? So I see every message that gets sent to me, even if you're not a friend.
I would say, you heard it here. He actually does his own social media. I don't know how long that will last with millions of people attacking him like I did at Summit. Come on, Robert.
I'm letting a lot of things hit the floor right now. So yeah, it's a problem in my life because the inbound is just crazy. Since I've been talking to you, 13 more messages popped up.
Well, I do have a VA service too. If you need some additional VAs, you let me know. I'm happy to help you with that because, it's especially in the technology world, we can have virtual assistants take care of things. And for any of you guys that are listening, again, I know you're on iTunes and Stitcher and those that are here and Blog Talk Radio. If you guys are interested in a VA service, you can go to VickiFitch.com/VA and we can connect you with the right person and the right people to help you, especially again with technology. We want to help technology be high tech so you can be high touch and really connect with people and create those relationships. So we're going to actually pop up your favorite quote, and then I'm going to do some ending things really quick, and we will sign off. So,
thank you very much.
This was your quote that you gave us. Mixed reality will change everything. And I think that's kind of like a mic drop kind of thing, because you have just shared with us so much that has made that a reality already, that it will change everything. That, I mean, it's changing things like by the second, by the moment. So it's.
Yeah. I remember trying to do See You, See Me, which is sort of what we're doing right here. Back in the 90s, and getting a little postage stamp with 1 frame a second of video. Now we're here. What's going to be in 20 years? You're going to be in 3D around this table, right? And I'm not going to know that you're not here.
Well, yeah, and we'll do in my other podcast, Vicki. He said, Red said, where somebody's going to get Fitch slapped, then I'll actually be able to do those Fitch slaps. Like I'll be able to do it, and you won't have to be here. I'll just be able to pop it on.
Yeah, there we go. We can play paintball right now if you have an HTC Vive.
Right. I'm working on that. I'm sure I got a sponsor out there, the ones that send me one, so I can go head to head with Robert Scoble. That will be a hoot. We will have a super great time. And then for those of you guys who know, Vicki Fitch Live, A Fresh Perspective, on the first Monday of every month, we have Vicki Fitch Live, A Vic the Bully in Your Head. And next week we have Mr. Matt Crane, who's going to be sharing his story. And hopefully maybe we might be able to get Robert on another time, because he has a lot of stuff in his own life where the Vic the Bully in Your Head is a new book I have coming out, and it's about people who have gone through trials and tragedies or trauma and turned them into triumph. So we would love to help inspire you, encourage you, and motivate you that no matter what's going on in your life, that there's always hope, and that we can deliver value to you. We can help you to see things differently, whether it's inspiring you with some VR, some AR, maybe it's just inspiring you with good old-fashioned, stories of people that have been there and done that. I'm still on the hunt for He. So you guys know I'm looking for a new podcast partner on He Said, Red Said, where red is always right. So if you guys are interested, or you think you know someone, go to hesaidredsaid.com and click the link that says that you are interested, and fill that out. I'd love to connect with you.
Man?
Right? That's my hunt for He, or what do you mean? Which
no,
one?
Any man can fit that.
I don't know if they can go head to head with Red, because I'm very docile here, but I can be pretty feisty, Robert. You haven't got to see the feisty side of this redhead. But it's true, and we might have to have him on all the broadcasts. I think Robert, you guys put a 1 in the chat box if you think Robert could go head to head with me. If you think he could throw, that's right. He's like, I'm ready. Can you take a Fitch slap? Okay, a Fitch slap is a public service. It only comes out when necessary. Always done in love, right? You think you can handle it?
I've lived through that before.
I think that we could. I think we might have to have a Robert Scoble marathon where we have him on Vic the Bully in Your Head. We got him on He Said, Red Said. We'll see. But you are a super great sport. And next week we have Owen Video on the He Said, Red Said. So Owen, I got to actually meet at Social Media Marketing World the first time in person. So that is going to be a great event. Come and check it out and see if Owen can take a Fitch slap, and if he can go head to head with Red, because we are going to have a really, really great time. So, Robert, do you have any closing words for these people? Again, you've dropped so much knowledge and value.
The next 3 years is going to see more change in our lives due to technology and some other things. That's a different show. But we're going to see more change in our lives in the next 3 years than we've seen probably in the last decade, maybe even more.
Well, I know you guys, hopefully, if you're here again, those of you on iTunes and Stitcher can't see it, but we did just pop up a card that has all of Robert's social media stuff on there. Again, he's made it very clear, though, his primary things, he really wants you to follow him on Facebook. So let's stick with that platform. Again, if you're dabbling other places, definitely follow him there, because who knows what kind of knowledge he'll drop or what's going to happen, but definitely keep him connected there. And for those of you guys who don't know me, let me introduce myself really quick. My name is Vicki Fitch. I'm a direct sales expert. I've been in the industry 20 years, top 10 sales and recruiting internationally for more than a decade. I've also built and sold 4 companies. I'm an author, a speaker, and an international business consultant, helping you get outside the 5,000 to turn your passion into your profits. If you need to level up your business, if you guys are ready to hire a business coach or have someone help you to elevate your business, please go to vickifitch.com/20. I would love to give you an opportunity and give you a free consultation and see if I can help you or assist you in any way, whether it's with anything from sales to social media media or anything in between. So I really do appreciate you guys. I want you guys to follow me across these social media platforms as well. I do Periscope and Facebook Live every day at 6 p.m., delivering value on business, mindset, money, motivation, anything you need to help you be the best you can be. So guys, again, I really do appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. Ciao.